My name is Daniel Ryan. I am the Education Service Manager for the UC Davis C-STEM Center, and I work pretty closely with all the schools and districts that are implementing our program to make sure that their teachers have all the professional development training they need, that the teachers have the support and resources they need to be able to effectively engage and support their students with coding and robotics through the C-STEM program. Next up, I want to introduce Dr. Chang. He's the director of the program. Professor Chang, do you have your camera on? Would you mind doing a quick introduction for yourself?
Yeah, my name is Harry Chan. I'm the professor here at the UC Davis and also director of the UC Davis System Center. Welcome, everyone.
Excellent, thank you. So next up, I want to introduce Kristen Sandler. She is the secondary math coordinator for Fontana Unified School District, and she's been overseeing the C-STEM implementation in Fontana for just about 2 years now. And so she's going to talk a little bit about what they're doing and how they've been able to impact their students. So with no further ado, let me go ahead and pass it off to Kristen.
Hello, everybody. So we in Fontana have been using C-STEM for a couple of years now, and kind of in several different ways. So the first way we're doing it is at the high school, and in very much of a traditional sense, where it's a replacement IM1 course. This year IM2 course, and next year some version of an IM3 course. Then the main way where we have the most students impacted is through our integrated coding and computing course, and that's using C-STEM curriculum, and that's really targeted as an intervention course. We've seen our middle school data really struggle over the last few years in terms of mathematics, and we wanted to try a new approach to get students interested in mathematics, improve our data, and also expose them to a lot of computer science skills that these students typically don't get the access to. So that's where Pam and actually Veronica are teachers of that course, the integrated coding and computing. We have it for 7th grade and 8th grade, and we're in our 2nd year in that course. Another way that we're kind of scaling up is doing a 6th grade elective course at a few schools, and that is gonna feed into a replacement math course for Math 7 students, and then Math 8 students, and then those students could eventually take the IM1 course that we have happening at one of our high schools. So we've been very fortunate to have some really great teachers who are excited about C-STEM and really go above and beyond, and Pam is one of those teachers who's extremely gung-ho and always excited about everything. She tries new things. You know, we've been lucky to kind of take all of our teachers and go visit each other's classroom. We bring them to Veronica's class and Pam's class so that they can kind of get ideas and have little PLC meetings. But initially, the students are extremely excited about being in the course, and engagement is definitely something that we're seeing as an improvement in this intervention course, as in opposed to our traditional math intervention courses that we have. So so far, it's a great course that we're really excited to be offering, and I'll kind of turn it over to Pam, who's one of our awesome integrated coding and computing teachers, and is very exciting and always full of energy. So you guys are in good hands.
We're going to talk about how teachers use Roboblockly instead of the C-STEM program, or maybe in conjunction with the C-STEM program, because now we're at that distance learning, obstacle. The way that I see it is that I'm still doing everything I did in my classroom with my kids, but I'm just doing it virtually. And unfortunately, there are those kids that can't have access to computers, but for the ones that are, they seem really, really engaged. I go to Roboblockly and I go into the curriculum, and first I say, okay, I should say this first. I check to see what my what I'm supposed to be reviewing or what I'm supposed to be looking at within my pacing guide, and then I say, okay, circles. Volume and area I haven't done much with, but I did go back and do circles because we just kind of caught up to everybody being online and everybody understanding what we're doing. So then I go into Roboblockly and I go into curriculum, and because we did a lot of robots in my classroom. I keep going back to robots so the kids could be engaged with the robots. So I usually do robotics 2 or robotics 1. And then within those, you can find your curriculum about what you're specifically looking for. So I could click on robot 2 because my kids were fairly advanced and we had already been in this course for the whole entire year. But if I was starting this and I was starting, you know, brand new, I might go back to robot 1A or 1B so that the students could get used to what they're doing. I go in here and I look through the activities that there are for my students to kind of work on the area that we're talking about. So my circle, I just did the activity here, the loop repeating a robot movement in a pattern. I did that because I really wanted to challenge them on a robot challenge for the week. So they work on one of these every single day. And then on Friday, I pull one of the challenges from the projects and give them a challenge that they have to complete for the week. So once I find something that I think I like, I try it out, then I go to my classes and you can set up your classes. One of the things I think that is important to remember, when I set up these classes, I guess I should have, and I've done this a few times and had to delete a few too, that coding and computing is one of my classes, but I have a 7th grade and I have an 8th grade. Knowing what I know now, I think I would have set it coding and computing 7th grade, coding and computing 8th grade, because when I put an assignment out, it goes out to everybody. So I can't really focus on 7th or 8th, but at this point, I'm just happy that they're liking it and that they're still doing it. So I'm kind of combining both of the curriculum together. So one of the things you're going to notice on this screen, when I make a class, it shows up here. When I join a class as a student, it shows up down here. Totally a time saver. To be able to put your own assignment, you know, you do the assignment and then you kind of, when I'm grading, I can go back and I can look at what I did and what I expected my students to accomplish when they did the assignment. Okay, so here's the little button. You create a class and you say, okay, it's called, you know, coding and computing 7th grade. So once you create the class, then you go into the class, and then I did it by period. I could have done it by grade, but I kind of like it because then when the grades come up, I can go back into my grading system queue and just log their grades for what they did. So once I get to this point and I've created a new section, I have sections to add the assignments. I go to assignments, and this is where you're gonna have that screen where you're able to pick what kind of things you want. So this is my assignment for the week. It looks like one assignment, but it actually has 5 different components to it. So like I said, I assign one for every single day, and the students come in and they click on their assignment. So to create a new assignment, you click on this little button right here, and I usually name it that big topic that was in the curriculum, so that I understand like where we're going, sort of like telling my kids, this is what I'm trying to teach you how to do. Last week it was using loops, and this week it's working within a coordinate plane. And so that's what I called this for this week. So I type in coordinate plane. And then you go down here and I say, okay, so I could have isolated my groups. I could have had, even within my classroom, I could have sent this to certain students and not other students for them to complete. I kind of try to aim high and then kind of adjust as I move through. If I have students who are struggling, then we've literally taken screenshots of what we're seeing at every single step, and they'll email me back and say, okay, I'm stuck right here, I can't figure it out. So then we'll work from there. I like that, working backwards, better than, you know, kind of adding to it. This is a big deal. You have to assign it, you have to open it. So when you open it, the students can see it on their end. If I don't want to, like the assignment that I just assigned this morning, I had that in my RoboBlockly for a week now. I went and I picked what I wanted, but I just didn't assign it. So then once I assign it and I open it, this morning I went in, I opened them all, I put their assignment in their teams and said, go to RoboBlockly, do this, and they do it. This problem right here, I usually just say complete the components of the coordinate plane or whatever. This is the tricky part, I think, that I found tricky, was that some of your curriculum is in curriculum and some of your curriculum is in activities. So when I'm in this curriculum over here and I'm choosing what I want, I'm careful about writing down the name exactly the way it's written, so that once I click on curriculum, I can search for drawing in a coordinate. That must not be here. So it's not in curriculum. So you see what I'm saying? It's kind of tricky that way, knowing which one you're in, if you're in curriculum or if you're in activities. So then I go to, oh, sorry. I must not be meaning it right. Anyways, so there again, that's the trick about understanding exactly what you're, so then sometimes if I didn't pay attention well enough, I'll have to cancel this. I go back to my curriculum, I look at what my curriculum says, and then I redocument exactly the names of the activities, or where was I? Driving around a coordinate plane, right here, I'm here. So I see, I am searching it wrong. It's called moving in a coordinate plane by plotting points. So really specific, really specific. I asked if maybe there was a way that I could assign it from the curriculum, but at this point, I don't think that they have that available, because once I find what I want, I'd love it if I could just click on it, but okay. So moving in a curricular, so go back, go into your assignments. Sorry, it's taking a second. And then because I already assigned them, I don't think I can, but I could do a new one. We'll do a coordinate. Just so you could see it, this was the only thing that I struggled with when I was getting ready. I kept thinking, why isn't it there? So go to curriculum and then moving. Okay, let's look. Oh, there it is. No, that's 5th grade. There it is. That's the one I wanted. Okay, another thing to notice, that when I did that one assignment, I put all the elements going all the way across that curriculum, so that my students could do every single step. And it kind of gradually gets harder and harder, so that the student kind of moves through. One of the things that I assigned this morning, I'm just going to cancel this because I don't really want to assign that one. This one right here, tracing a path with a robot in a coordinate plane, that assignment actually has a video that the students can watch before they get ready to do the task, that really helps them understand, like toggle on and off with the tracing. So once I assign it, I go to, my students start to do it, then I always go in and do my assignments. So that's what was the cool part about adding myself as a student in my class. I put my email in there, and then automatically it comes up there, so I don't have to go back and forth. And then when I'm grading, I try to see, you know, did they understand how to repeat? Did they understand? So this is the one that I was talking about that had the video that went to it. So that you can see the video that's on here. She talks about how to use this trace on, trace off component, and sort of gives the kids a heads up. And like I said, it starts out really, really easy, where the student, I think they feel successful. They can start with what they already know. One of the things I'm going to say that has been a catch for my kids has been submit solution up here. They do the activity really well, and they tell me, oh, I finished, and I go to RoboBlockly to grade it, and I'm like, you don't have anything submitted. So I literally have this screen printed for my students that says submit solution right here, circled, so that my kids remember that after I do it, I submit it. And then when I submit it, it's going to run the program, and then it will tell me. Some of them are automatically graded, but some of them, when I go to grade them, I'll show you that now. When I go to grade them, I have to click on the run the project. Let me see if I have one that I know is turned in. Let's see. Oh, great. Sorry. When I go to grade, I go into grades, and you can see I have all these lists. So then I go into repeating loops, and I go down to where the student turned it in, and see this one has a green check because that student got full credit for it. This one, it didn't grade it, but all I have to do is click run, and then I can watch how the student's program actually did the task that I asked him to do. So I just watch and work through it, and then I give them the credit if they completed it. And they seem to really, really like it. They we're having difficulty with the students that don't have access, so we don't have all our students involved, but I do think it's a way to look at math in a fun way that they really like being able to get the answer to. So then once I say, okay, I'll give this student credit for this assignment, I click on their thing and leave them a note, and then I move on to the next assignment. I like having all of it in 1 week, all in one page. That way I can say, okay, you've done this, you've done that, you've done this. And then I can see where students have not been successful. There wasn't one on this one, but I have had students that couldn't get it. So then I run their program, and I can see their program. So I run their program and see where they are having the problem. And then I just email them or send a message in here. The portal is the great giant black hole. It is amazing. You could get lost. When you click in the portal, you actually go, it's almost like you took that curriculum, that whole chunk of activities and things to do within RoboBlockly, and then this is where it opens up to teachers, and they start to add their own spin on it. They say, oh, I like this better, and I would have done this like this. And you could tell that this is a place where you could seriously get lost, because there are, 110 pages right here of teachers that have contributed to every topic under the sun. I mean, telling time, it's crazy. And I love it. I love it in here, but I have to say, I'm still learning how to use it. If anybody else is better at this, then you can chime in, because this is an awesome place. You can copy any of the assignments that are here. They have them open for you. All you have to do is click on them and say, yes, I want this, copy it, and put it into your own portfolio. And then, but I haven't done a lot in here. I've done most of my stuff within the curriculum, because I was still trying to remediate for my students that are missing the last semester. Any questions?
Pam, can you talk a little bit about how your students have responded to the program and the work that they've been doing through it?
Well, the cool part about RoboBlockly is because, like I said, we were already here. We were already in this zone. And in fact, they did almost all of their assignments in my classroom within RoboBlockly before they got a real robot. So they already were familiar with RoboBlockly. They were familiar with, running bots and doing, the virtual. If they didn't use RoboBlockly, then they would use the RoboSim. And they always liked being able to see what was going to happen virtually and then be able to do it. So they were really accustomed to this. The difference that I have to say, since we've gone to distance learning, is that they're doing it in roboblockly.com. And roboblockly.com has, username and passwords and stuff that you get into. And then they submit to me where I know that they did the work. I have to say that the students that I thought were least likely to respond are my responders right now. I mean, least likely to respond. And I'm like amazed. I love it. I love the fact that that's why I was really trying to be encouraging. I don't know if you saw the messages that I had left there for my students, but I was like, yes, let's go. Because I was completely surprised, but they do like it. They do like the robots. They like the challenge. They would rather come on Friday because I always had Robot Friday in my classroom also. So they wait for Friday to come. And it's sad because now if they don't do the activity that I told them to do all week, then they're sort of at a loss when it comes to being able to solve those. And I publish in my teams who did it first or who accomplished the goal. So I always leave a list of names of people that that did it, and they really like it. They love the challenge. I wish we had our Robo Play competition. You know, maybe we could do that virtually or something.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the early days? I know you talked a lot about what you're doing right now, but can you talk about more back when you were first getting started, when your students weren't as familiar with the platform and how they were responding and learning it?
Well, you know, the way the program is structured, you start off with like a bump and connect, which, you know, almost anybody can do. And then you drive it from your hand, which kind of gets them to buy into, you know, already playing with the robot. And it's funny, they say they want to play bump and connect, but then when they try to get the accuracy that they can get with programming, then they realize after a couple months, oh no, I can control this guy way better by code. And so you start to get to a point where they understand that they need the code to be able to control the robot. But right from the get-go, my students, as soon as they get a laptop, we are starting to talk about how to control the robot. And so I know that a lot of people in Fontana have told their students that it's a math remediation through robotics, but I don't ever tell my students that it's math remediation. I say, we're here to play with robots and let's go. So they'll figure out the math to be able to control the robot. So it always is about controlling the robot. And at the beginning, it's rough. It's always rough. We have a program in our classrooms that's called Insight, where I can see all of the students' screens at one time. And so if a student is having difficulty now, I don't jump in and help them. I project their screen onto the screen in the classroom, and all the other students do peer review. And they are faster at finding an error than I am. They were really, really good. They got, and I totally give credit to Insight for that, because I can project it and the students can then work themselves out. Oh, look right here, look right here, look right here, you know, and we usually have a few errors, but it's okay. We figure it out.
Excellent. Can you remind us what demographic of students you're working with primarily?
Oh, the students that Fontana has put in our coding and computing, integrated coding and computing class, are students who are standard not met or lower. So we don't have any of the students that are really driven to math or even like it. They'll tell me all the time, I love your class, Ms. Matea, but I hate math. So like I said, trying to mask the mathematics within that, I think works for them to put their guard down. It kind of works on that growth mindset where, oh, well, I wasn't really good at that before, but you know, I'm feeling better. And because it's something brand new, we're all kind of on the same playing ground. They think even when I started, Daniel, they thought I knew. They said, no, you're lying, Ms. Matea, you really know how to do this. I said, no, I don't know how to do this. I'm learning with you, you know. I have to figure stuff out too. And I think they like that. I think they like the fact that we're here to figure it out. I have this picture of my student. I have this crazy challenge where I make them drive 3 robots into a box, you know, one of our copy boxes or whatever. And I cut a hole out in that box that is literally tight to get that robot in. And all 3 robots have to fit in, but one of the robots has to get out of the way. They work on that challenge for 3 weeks. They beg me to come in at lunch. They beg me to not put the robots away. When the timer goes off and it's time to put the robots away, they're no, 5 more minutes. Come on, just 5 more minutes, Matea. I'm gonna get it. You know, I don't ever get that in math, you know, and I know that I have a friend that's transferring to the math department. And I said, you know, I don't miss teaching math because of that reason. I like the fact that they want to get it and that they're engaged and that, you know, that they're willing to stay in during lunch. And one of my students, she has the box over her head because she's so frustrated that she can't get it, but she's still trying and she's still there at lunchtime. So you got to give it to her.